Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of Important Work. I'm your host, Chris Angel. I'm here with my guest today, Dan Rawls. What's up, Dan Rawls?
Hello, world.
Hello, world. Yes. Wasn't that like the first thing that went out on the internet when it went live to the world? Hello, world.
I think that's right.
I think that's what I heard once upon a time. Where are you in the world? Are you a nomad right now, or do you have a place that you call home?
Well, actually, today I'm in Delray Beach, Florida. So I spend part of the year in Salt Lake City, Utah, and the rest part of my year in Tennessee and Atlanta. Grew up there, so I'm just kind of all over. All over.
I know, because I follow you on Facebook, and I'll see pictures of like you're skiing one minute, and then you're on some beach another minute. Like you're everywhere. It's awesome.
Always connecting. Hashtag always connecting.
Hashtag. Right. Awesome. You and I met, 14 years ago or some long time. I mean, I knew about you from when my kids were little. We bought Juice Plus gummies for our kids, and our kids took Juice Plus gummies for probably, till like a year or two ago, like forever.
Long time.
I think that's how I met you, was through a friend of ours, Jeremy, and here we are 14 years later, connected through social media. We've never met in person.
Yeah, 2,800 miles away, and here we are, Chris.
It's crazy.
It's amazing the connectivity that can happen. It's
the day and age we live in, and I think you and I have had, I feel like some cool conversations digitally that feel like a real connection. And I know connection is a big deal for you. It's a big topic for you. So like, walk me through like where you're at nowadays in terms of like, what are you doing and what are you seeing in terms of connection and sort of your point of view on business and life these days?
Well, I think there's a difference between connections and referrals. And I was actually in the referral business for a few months shy of 25 years. I ran franchises in what I'll call lifestyle franchising, and retired from that in my late 40s, and have been blessed, had the privilege of training over 10,000 people, shaking a lot of hands, a lot of business cards, going all the way back to when people had audio cassettes in their car. I mean, we didn't even have the internet. That's how long I've been connecting with people. And so having done that and then stepped away from that for several years, it's just been interesting because more and more people, they're trying to build their networks. They're trying to add more people on LinkedIn. They want to add more friends on Facebook and Instagram and whatever platform that they're using, whether it's WhatsApp, Voxer, Slack, email database, Constant Contact, you name it. People just want to build these lists, but there's no depth to those relationships, if that makes sense. And I think that there's a big difference between connections and referrals. Sometimes I felt like in the world that I was in, that we forced our members, we forced our customers that they had to have a referral or they had to have a testimonial. There was this force of you better perform and you better do this, rather than just let life flow naturally with connections. And so as I've stepped back and been in the press box looking down on the field, it's really been an interesting journey to see how more and more people try to connect, but they don't really have connectivity. And I'll tell you how I know that's true. Nobody runs my social media for me, because what's the point of connecting, Chris? If someone's going to make your videos for you, then it's not Chris, right? People wake up and they're like, what's Chris going to talk about today? I've learned so much the last 3 days from Chris. And what I mean by that is 9 times out of 10, not everybody, but 9 times out of 10, if someone friend requests me or sends me a LinkedIn message or a connection, I will send them a personal message of some sort. It's not a copy and paste. It's not a canned message. I'll look at their profile, depending on what they are, depends on what I'm going to say. But the common thread that I have in all of it is, hey, Chris, thank you for the connection and the friend request. Tell me more about your business. Tell me something about you. What do you see as a commonality of why did you connect with me? And let me just ask you, as a marketing expert, marketing for the rest of us, that would be your brand.
Yeah.
Out of 10 people, how many do you think respond to that? What would you guess?
Oh, if it was authentic and real, like if it felt real, really honest, I would guess 8 to 10 out of 10 respond.
It's actually the exact opposite.
Really?
It's 8 to 9 out of 10 don't even respond to the message. And
Wow.
they're the ones that initiated the connection in the first place.
That's crazy. Right. No kidding. That's really weird. Huh.
So isn't that interesting? I mean, I go back 18 to 36 months, if you will, just in that little time frame where people were just clicking and, oh, Chris has 28 mutual connections and let me connect with him on LinkedIn. And there was no mutual connection. But I've changed my philosophy in the last 12 months on that, at least 12 months, maybe longer, that if Chris is going to do that with me, there's a reason he wants to do that with me.
Right.
There's a reason. He doesn't want to just throw me in the soup bowl with all the vegetables that are in the soup. There's something about my vegetable that he wants to throw in the mix with all the connections maybe that I have. And so I want to reach out and say, hey, Chris, I'm honored, like I'm humbled, but you know, you've got 28,000 connections on LinkedIn. Why me? Why would you pick me? And literally, I'm telling you, 8 out of 9, Chris, do not respond.
I think, you know, it's funny when I don't play much on LinkedIn, but I'm there. I have a profile and I get probably a connection request once or twice a day. And I'm always skeptical because what I'm so used to now in LinkedIn is people will make a connection request. I'll accept it. And the very next thing I get is a message in my inbox that says, hey, just in case you want to know if I can help you with anything, like it's an immediate pitch for whatever they can do for me, rather than a non-scripted, non-copy paste, hey, what had you interested in me? Like if they had done that, I would respond. But because I can smell the script of it all, I don't.
So there's a teaching moment in that for everybody. Push rewind and write down what Chris just said. What is it about me that was of interest to you?
Yeah.
That's the teaching moment in what you just said, Chris.
Yeah.
That is the non-scripted, real life connectivity. Mm-hmm. I mean, then you think at least 5 out of 10 are going to respond.
Right. It's a pattern interrupt, I think, frankly. Like so many people are using a very pitchy type of direct message, especially on LinkedIn. I think that's a strategy that's taught on LinkedIn. Actually was at an event recently, marketing event, where the guy I was talking to was a LinkedIn expert. And he's like, oh yeah, we don't even do ads on LinkedIn. We just do messages. And this is what we say. And I'm like, oh my God, this is exactly what's frustrating me about people on LinkedIn trying to pitch me all the time in a message. Like if you want to have a relationship with me, let's make a connection, to your point, but don't pitch me. There's no connection in pitching me, you know?
It's just comical. I mean, I'm laughing with you because I'm laughing at your frustration because we all live it. But see, in my opinion, you're either standing out or you're blending in. And I'm not trying to be cliche-ish at all. The truth is you're either standing out, like you have an amazing message with marketing for the rest of us. That's your brand. And nobody says that. Mm-hmm. I mean, like that's you. You're the only one out of millions of people online that's your message. And so you're standing out, or you can blend in and do the pitch or just the friend request and move on. And then there's no depth in that. So one thing about that, Chris, that I've learned over the years is when it comes to relationships and connections, something I learned in my early 20s is you build width for profitability, new connections, new contacts, new customers, new relationships, right? You build width for profitability, but you build depth for security.
That's good.
And the depth of those relationships, a lot of people think it's not what you know, it's who you know. I believe it's not only who you know, it's how well you know them. And have you built trust that could I trust you with the keys to my house? Could I trust you, Chris, with the keys to my boat? Could I trust you with any of my contacts and say, you know, I'd like to tee up that introduction for you, but there's 3 people you need to connect with immediately. These people know me well. Just text them and say, Dan Rawls specifically said you're amazing that you would take my phone call. And Chris, I'll tell you right now, I trust you enough. The answer is yes for all of those, and we've never met in person. How's that?
Yeah. That's really good. I think that speaks, I love that, by the way, because I think that speaks to the power of, in a world where everybody feels like social media is fake, when you're authentic and honest in social media, you can actually create that depth you're speaking of, because people will feel like they know you and can trust you with the keys to their house. You and I have never met, but there's a connection we've had over time, because time takes it deep, right? I think time and transparency over time takes the relationship deeper. And I think that's important to point to.
And just because of some of your written posts and your verbal videos, I mean, you and I have only talked on the phone maybe 5 times, and as you said, 14 plus years, thanks to our friend Jeremy Allen. I trust you like I would just come stay in my house for a week, man. If you and your spouse or your kids, you're ever coming south, I would host you, like no problem at all. I mean, how cool is that? Now, I don't just openly say that.
Yeah, that's great.
That's the difference in a connection and a referral and a light contact. A connection is not a casual contact. A connection is someone that you're pulling a favor, if you will. A connection is, who do you need to get connected with? And I ask that question quite frequently. Who do you need to meet through me? Sure, I've been in the health business for 30 years, and a lot of people know that about me, and they think, oh, well, the reality of it is not everybody makes it into my phone, because I come from the world way before smartphones.
Yeah.
And most of my connections on LinkedIn and social media are not in my phone, but in my phone, I have over 6,000 contacts. Now, in order to get in my phone, and it's not about me, but it's a teaching moment here. In order to get in my phone, you must have a little bit more than a connection to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes I think people are, you go to a networking event and people are like, oh, this guy knows a lot of people. I sell a $50 product, but behind the scenes, people would not know that I'm kind of blessed. I'm kind of a connector in the world, and I have a little bit of influence. I do have a little bit of credibility. I know a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because I love being a connector through joint ventures, through new opportunities. And, I really feel blessed to be a connector in the business world and also the personal world. I've been a matchmaker in the personal world. I've gathered reunions of guys that I went to military school with for 6 years. Just had one in Fort Lauderdale 2 weeks ago. 40 guys showed up, Chris, and some of us hadn't seen each other since the early 80s.
Wow.
And, there's no business associated with that, but it's a connectivity. It's a world that let's reconnect. And a lot of people will say that. They'll say, hey, I'd love to reach out and reconnect with you. And so I'll say this, the biggest challenge that I see that people have with connecting, and if you saw my post a few weeks ago, that's why one of the things that I'm doing is I've branded myself as a follow-up coach. I didn't really like that word coach when it first came out, business coaching, life coaching, being a business advisor. But you'll probably never meet anybody that's branded themselves as a follow-up coach, because something I learned in my mid-20s was that the fortune is in the follow-up, but it's not just the financial fortune. It's kind of like this, Chris. People keep adding connections, and you'll get those on, I'm sure you get bombarded with Facebook requests quite frequently and just social media in general. But it's kind of like going to Home Depot or Lowe's. Do you have anything around your house right now? I've seen some of your projects. Do you have anything around your house that needs to be done right now? Just a project personally?
Oh, lots of projects, always. A growing list.
That's an endless list. So if you went on Saturday morning to Home Depot with your kids and you said, we got to buy 6 or 8 things and we're going to get this project, and you get home and you leave it in the bag in the garage. You're like, I'm going to get to it. And life happens. You got sporting events and you got conference calls. You're doing life, right? And things get in the way, and the bag sits there. And a month later, the bag is still sitting there. And 2 months goes by. 6 months goes by, and the bag's still sitting there. Hopefully you left the receipt in the bag. Here's the deal. Just return the stuff to Home Depot and call a handyman, Chris.
Yeah.
Would you do that? Because you pay people for their expertise. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you've achieved enough financial success, day trading is not your thing, man. Get a financial planner that's really good at what he does. My financial planner is in the top 1% of advisors in the United States. He's been doing it over 35 years.
Yeah.
You pay people for their expertise, okay? Some people, they treat their business just like the example I gave you. They go to networking events, they go to business events, mixers. I'm going to some high profile annual once a year event here in Florida this afternoon, higher level executives. So it happens less frequently. So I think the caliber of people that are going to be there is higher. Well, you better believe I'm going to reach out and follow up with those people. And at least just send them a text or a voice message and thank them for the opportunity to get to know them. But so many people treat their connections, they keep going to events and adding LinkedIn's and all these connections. It's just like the bag of stuff from Home Depot sitting in your garage, Chris. If you don't do with it, take it back to the store and stop going to the networking events. Cultivate the relationships, the connections that you already have, rather than make new ones.
Do you listen to shows like this and think, I could totally do that? You have a longing to connect more genuinely with your community and have a platform where you can play a bigger game. But you never start because either the tech's overwhelming or you don't want more work on your plate, or maybe you're not exactly sure what you would say. Yet you know you have really important things to share. This is why we created a done-for-you content marketing service, helping you give life to the conversations in your head to grow your business and your impact. Learn more at mygroundswell.com.
Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, it's good. It's convicting. In fact, I can think of, I just went to Portland last week and spoke at a couple events, met a lot of people that appreciated the message that I shared. And there's some follow-up opportunities I've even missed in coming back. I think part of it is I get busy with life. I'm like, oh, I'll see them on social media, but there's a personal message I could say to them, just like you spoke of, like you're like, what was interesting or what connect, a conversation that could be happening one-on-one through social that would actually take that relationship deeper, that you, like you mentioned earlier. Yeah, big time.
Yeah, it's just, it's so simple. It's kind of like Jim Rohn said, it takes half a second to take a photo and it takes half a second to miss a photo. It takes you 30 seconds, Chris, to jump on Messenger and send that person a message and say, hey, it was great. Thanks for coming up and talking to me after you saw me speak in Portland.
It's good. I think too, if I brought this back to the conversation of important work, which is one of my passions, is releasing in people's important work in the world. I feel like when you, the security of your the security of and depth of your network, or the security and depth of the relationships you have, the connections you have, actually becomes security for your important work. The more relationship, the deeper the relationship, the more your important work can spread in the world, because people trust the message of your important work when there's relationship behind it. Versus if you're just another talking head on social media and there's no relationship, your important work doesn't spread because it doesn't have the depth of relationship, I think.
You know, there's so much wisdom in what you said, because if you surround yourself with what I'll call ambassadors, and I've also learned the word dependables. Dependable people that you could count on them, they could count on you. Yeah. Each of us really only needs in the business world about 25 to 30 ambassadors and dependable people. And you can build a massive empire of business around 25 to 30 solid connections that up their game to you based on your relationship with them. Can you see how that would be true?
Yeah, totally. Of course.
But see, we all just want to keep connecting and connecting and connecting, and there's nothing wrong with connections. But I'll tell you this, January 1st this year, I went to a 3-day personal development seminar in Salt Lake. And I'm not a goal setter. I usually get up and go to the bathroom when they start talking about goal setting. Full transparency. They weren't talking about goal setting, but there were some things they asked us to write down. And one of the things I wrote down is, I want to make 10 new, authentic, transparent connections this calendar year. And my goal was, before I left at the end of ski season in May, I made my 10th connection. And the year wasn't even half over yet. And I'll say this, 8 of those 10 are in my phone. Wow. And I don't put everybody in my phone. I don't meet people at a meeting. You've been in my phone for a while, but I don't put every connection in my phone. And a lot of people, they misinterpret connections. They think there's a hidden agenda, or
Right.
I love your point about the pitch and the message. That's just, there's a phrase I learned years ago called needy is creepy. And people can kind of sense that.
Yeah,
that when
that's
you
good.
meet them, like maybe you have this hidden agenda, or needy is creepy, or what's he trying to sell me, or I don't really have that hidden agenda. That's not my mantra. That's not how I roll, because that's transactional marketing, Chris. I wouldn't be talking to you 14 years later.
That's good.
If I was that way.
That's
and
good.
I asked you to be on your show. You didn't ask me. I kind of knocked on your window and said, hey, can I participate in one of those? Because you've got credibility influence. I was like, I'm kind of stepping out here, but Mother, may I? I mean, humbly, I came to you. I bet I beat around the bush for 6 months before I had the confidence to ask you that. That's the truth.
Interesting. It's funny. I think there's something that has, the relationship of it all. I think when things come fast in a social media age where there's a lot of activity happening, I'll just throw myself under the bus. It's easy for me to be preoccupied with all that and to miss the depth of connection. Before the internet, when in my college years, relationship was really important to me, and I would actually spend time and I would ask a lot of questions to people because I wanted to get to know them without any agenda. And what's interesting about that is I think that was very attractive because people feel known, they feel important, they feel understood, and there was no agenda. I had no product to sell, so there was no hidden agenda because I had nothing to sell them. And then I got into business, and all of a sudden I had a family and I had this responsibility to provide. And all of a sudden this scarcity thing popped up, and I was like, relationships became an avenue to a sale. And so there was a hidden agenda for a lot of my professional career. There was a thing of like, I want this relationship to make a sale because I need to provide and I want to figure this out. And it's not until I've gotten into my 40s where I'm like, that was an entirely, I'm going to say that, like a ruse. It was a false intention. Like it didn't produce what I was really trying to produce in the world, which was people who wanted to work with me, or like you just said, like to knock on the door and be like, man, I'd really like to be on your show. That would be cool. That didn't happen when I was needy. For all the years I was needy and trying to make something happen, people weren't lining up to try to be on my show. People were like avoiding me. And so it was a lot of hard work. But I think what you're saying with connection is that when there's real connection and authenticity and transparency, people working with you, being connected to you becomes an opportunity for them, not like an avoidance, a goal to avoid you.
Well, and the teaching moment there for everybody, if you're taking notes, listen to what Chris said, rewind it. He said, don't miss the depth of your connection. Don't miss the depth of your connection. And again, that goes, it goes back to width for profitability and depth for security. But you're not even at profitability if you're clicking on all these social media platforms to connect, and you never lock arms or shake hands, if you will, and reach out to someone. For me, I use the audio feature when I message people on Messenger. A lot of times I use the audio portion because I learned that 4 years ago, and I just learned it on LinkedIn. They just added it sometime in the last 18 months. And people are like, whoa, that's kind of cool. I never knew you could do it. And then you start to build that connectivity. It's not just, it's another text message.
That's good, man. This has been really convicting for me. I'm feeling like there's a whole nother level I can step up in terms of the way I create connection. I know I'm good at connection if I let myself go there. I guess, again, in transparency, I think I'm hesitant to connect. I like content marketing because it allows me to share my message without having to be on my terms. I get to share my message on my terms. And the minute I actually get in relationship with people, things get messier. I feel like people take advantage of me. I feel like people will ask a ton and not give anything in return. And so this is my own, these are my own demons or dragons to slay, but there is something magical on the other side of actually making that connection where you take the relationship deep, like you said. And I'm guilty of taking relationships wide, but not taking them deep. Even though I'm good at taking them deep, I'm afraid to take them deep because I've just been burned. I feel like I'm a giver. I give a lot, but I don't give a lot anymore because I was tired of being taken advantage of. And I think a lot of us, especially my tribe, people that listen to this type of a show. We have important work to do. We have big hearts for people, but we've been burned so many times that we're afraid to lead with our heart. And so we build this massive wall around us in our marketing, and we don't actually never produce the result we're trying to produce, because the very thing we're best at is the thing we're trying to protect, which is our heart. So.
Well, you're absolutely right. And I'm a little bit older than you, Chris. I think I'm 9 years older than you. So as many times as you've been burned, just wait till you get my age. I can tell you it's more, but we can't live in that fear of, I don't want to help that person. I don't want to reach out to that person, because what if at that point, what if 2 years from now, I was a new connection for you? Mm-hmm. I mean, do you realize that, I've helped hundreds of people earn 6 figures in their own business, not another business, in their own business from my leading and my teaching and my 3 decades of experience. But if you had that mindset of, I don't know, I've just been burned. Who is this guy? I don't really know. That's why there's a difference. And I teach this, of being pleasantly persistent and not bothersome with people. Yeah. And, it did take me 6 months to get up the nerve and courage to ask you, hey, could I be on your show? Because I felt like we had that trust, but you didn't really know me. And I said, hey, I don't really have an agenda. I just think I've got a message, and you have a reach that, I'm a connector in the world, and I've just partnered with an amazing company that we're going to take worldwide. We already did it with one company. Yeah. And that company's in 60 countries. And this was the phrase that was thrown out about 15 years ago at a conference. This was our goal. We said, there will come a day that you could go to any chamber of commerce, any business event, any meeting per se, and you could mention the name of our company, and someone in the room would know of our company. They're part of our company. They're a customer. They're a member. Someone in their company used to be their father-in-law. And that's happened for that company. And it's going to happen again with ConnectShare, with what we're doing, because we're worldwide connectors, and it's just going to be incredible.
Yeah. Tell me about that really quick. So what is ConnectShare? What is that?
So ConnectShare is high-level executive networking. It's if you take the world of networking, if you will, I think there's a difference in networking and connections. Okay. Sure. Yeah. ConnectShare is really the people that you have to buy your seat. You have to earn your seat. It's more for the elite, not the snobs. I used to think people that sat in first class were all snobs until I got free upgrades a few times, and I was like, oh, well, there are other ways. But right. But really, Chris, it's the opportunity for someone maybe that sits in the Comfort Plus, the front part of the plane, or the front part, the first class. That's what ConnectShare is. It's not your meetup group. It's not just all your networking or let's go to some meeting. And the platform is really incredible. I had the privilege of being introduced to this company from a gentleman who bought one of my franchises, which was one of the top franchises in the world. And he's since taken it to #1 because he's super competitive. But he introduced me to the founder of ConnectShare. And we're growing the company worldwide. So if you're listening to this and you feel like you're a connector and you have that gift, this could be an opportunity. And that'll be a different podcast that we'll make. But, feel free to connect with me. Yeah. I am blessed. I have spent 30 years of my life building relationships and building connections and strategically reaching out to people once a year, once every couple of years to keep in touch. And I'm humbled, Chris, that you would remember that how we met through Jeremy Allen, and that it's been over a decade ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, tell me this, if people want to learn more about ConnectShare, or they want to reach out to you somehow and just learn more from you, how do people connect with you?
So the best way to get me is through WhatsApp or my cell phone, 865-604-4900, 865-604-4900. My personal Gmail address is Dan W. Rawls, RAWLS @gmail.com, Dan W. Rawls @gmail.com. And I kind of pride myself. I've had the same phone number for 29 years. So
wow.
it's survived 2 area codes. But
That's amazing.
I had to keep that number because that was my landline, and I had to keep that because of connectivity. You never know when you're going to reach out. So, you know, my wish for you and your audience, Chris, is that somehow, some way, Chris and I have taught you something today that you can implement right now. As soon as you end this, you can go through some of your connections of people that connected with you the last 14 to 28 days and send those people a personal message and just do it and try it and fix it if it doesn't work. Do it again. Reach out to someone, reconnect with someone from your past, someone that connected with you. Go through the birthdays on LinkedIn. Go through the memories on Facebook. When you see a memory from 2-3 years ago, send that person a personal message on Messenger or pick up the phone and call them.
That's good,
Chris, it takes 5 minutes, and that's how you reconnect. It's actually given to you daily on social media.
Daily, yeah, it's good.
So that's my wish for you and your audience, somehow, some way. If I can help you get better connected, connect with me. LinkedIn and Facebook are my best platforms.
Awesome. Dan, thanks for being on the show today, man. It's great to have this type of a conversation. We should do it again. I like this, and it's fun to hear all the things that life has taught you, and I look forward to doing it again.
Part 2, not. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, man. See ya. Do you have important work in the world? We can help you produce a show just like this one and get your message out in the world. Go to mygroundswell.com to connect with us now.